Right Director. And we're very fortunate this evening to embark upon a new journey with our silhouettes as they take on a new role with us in our Kappa League to talk about women's history, but more important, leaders, women leaders. So I'm excited this evening because we have a great, exciting panel before us this evening, and they're going to give us a presentation that's one that you're going to remember, especially for the history books. So without further ado, I'm going to do a handoff to Miss Vanessa Lindley, but actually she's a silhouette, so she may have to define that as well for our Kappa Leaguers, so that way they understand what's a silhouette. And then she's going to do an introduction to her panel. So without further ado, Silhouette Lindley, it's all yours.
Thank you, Brother Phil. Well, good evening, all the brothers of the New World Show White Plains alumni chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi, to all the silhouettes who have joined. And the silhouettes are the wives of the Kappas, for those who don't know, and any guests. And of course, we're here for the Kappa Leaguers tonight. So we're excited to be here. I do want to give a special recognition and a happy Kappa-versary to Marcos, my husband, and his line, the Connoisseur Club. And I don't know if the president of the Silhouettes are here, Monica. I don't see her yet. But tonight we have a dynamic panel. And as Brother Phil said, we're here to celebrate Women's History Month, and in particular, Black Women's History Month. And I thought it would be great to have a panel rather than I just come and speak on leadership. And the panel here today are silhouettes, Kappa League moms. So it's people in your community that you can pick up the phone or call someone to talk to. So a little bit about myself first. Again, my name is Vanessa Lindley. I am actually an entrepreneur, business owner. I own the Lindley Consulting Group, which I've owned for over 25 years in the finance industry. I'm a minority women business enterprise with the state of New York. I'm an author. I wrote a book, Achieve Financial Victory, 7 Ways to Win with Your Money. And I am on a mission to close the racial and gender wealth gap. And I have a longer resume with clients, universities, Columbia, Harvard, Fortune 500 companies, et cetera. But I want to also spend time with my panel. So I have a fabulous panel here. I have Silhouette Patricia Berme-Tenemel, who is going to talk about law when we get to her section. We have a past Kappa Leaguer mom, Joy Massot, who's going to talk about medicine. And then we have Danielle Williams, who is a very dear friend of mine, but also a Kappa League mom. And I see my nephew Alan on the computer, who actually will talk about law and education. So she's had a dynamic career, which I will have them tell a little bit about themselves. So I'm first going to start with Joy, who will tell us a little bit about, just introduce yourself and tell us in your own words what you do for a living.
Okay, hi. My name is Joy Massot. I am an assistant professor of radiology and pediatrics at the Mount Sinai Hospital. And my job is that I am a pediatric radiologist. And that is a type of doctor who does imaging studies, and I do them on children. This includes things like X-rays and CAT scans and MRIs. These are examinations that look inside the body for diseases so that we can diagnose diseases in children, and then they can go on ahead and be treated. So that is what I do every day.
Excellent. Yeah, and so Dr. Massot actually graduated from Johns Hopkins University with the BA in biology and psychology and attended Harvard Medical School, where she received an MD as well as a master's in public health from Harvard School of Public Health. So we have a dynamic leader here on our call, and you'll hear more from her throughout the evening. Next, I'm going to go to Patricia Berme-Tenemel, who is one of our law specialists tonight. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for a living.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, my fellow panelists and all. My name is Patricia Berme-Tenemel. I am a support magistrate in Rockland, Putnam, and Dutchess County Family Courts. A support magistrate is a judge that hears all types of cases involving money in the family courts. For example, I deal with issues regarding child support to help parents determine how to deal with taking care of their children financially. I also deal with issues regarding married couples who may need help with trying to figure out how to support one another financially once they are no longer living together. Prior to my appointment as a support magistrate, I worked as a senior assistant county attorney at the Westchester County Attorney's Office in the Family Court Bureau, where I supervised a number of attorneys and also prosecuted cases dealing with abuse and neglect matters, termination of parental rights, guardianships of youths, expungements of child abuse records, and other child support related matters. I also served as the executive director of the Westchester County Office of Equal Employment Opportunity and Affirmative Action, and as a staff attorney at the Westchester Putnam Legal Services. There, I handle domestic violence cases, custody cases, visitation cases, and other family-related matters. In addition, I am a certified family and divorce mediator, where I help families who are in crisis try to find a resolution as to how to work with one another. Now, I regularly present as a panelist for the New York State Council on Divorce Mediation on the topic of child support and the importance of mediation. I have served as a guest lecturer at Pace University School of Law in their New Directions program, which provides legal education to law professionals returning to the profession. I've also been an adjunct professor at Rockland Community College, where I taught family law, business law, and civil litigation. But most importantly, I am the mother of two wonderful young men, Zachary and Xavier Tenemil, who are also members of the Kappa League. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. I forgot your son's a Kappa League too. You know, I'm all girls. Sorry. And I just want to add her education as well. So she has an undergraduate from Cornell University and her Juris Doctorate in International Law from Pace University School of Law. And I'm going to talk about how we connect that. As a young men, we'll hear about some of their career path, and just wanted to get undergird where they went to school or what they went to school for, more importantly, as we think about careers and leadership. So last but not least, I have the dynamic Danielle Williams to tell us a little bit about what she does.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Danielle Williams. I am currently the Director of Alternative Programs here in Valley Stream Central High School District. I started a school for high school students who were overage, undercredited, who need assistance during COVID and beyond to help them get through graduation. I'm also an entrepreneur. I am the CEO and founder of Stigma Consulting Group, which is an advocacy group that works with our families and people who have disabilities to really help them navigate through the educational system, as well as just really finding resources, as I am a proud parent of two, one who's on the screen, Alan David Williams Jr., who is part of the Theta class, part of Theta class for Kappa League, and Aaron Nicholas Williams, both who I'm very proud, who have IEPs, and I've really worked on helping them to advocate for themselves and their success. I am also involved in a number of organizations. My friend Vanessa, of course, knows what I do, but this is something that I've wanted to do, and this is career number 3 for me, because I started as an attorney, and then I moved on into education as an adjunct, moved fast into the teaching fellows, became a teacher, then an AP, and now an administrator and district administrator. So it's a pleasure to be here this evening with you gentlemen.
Excellent. And I know you went to Hampton University, HBCU, for undergrad. And where did you get your law degree from again?
University of Minnesota.
University of Minnesota. So I don't know, Kappa Leaguers, do you have any questions for the panel before I go to my next question? And you can put questions in the chat if you would like, or you can raise your hand on the raise your hand function, and I can answer and let you speak on the mic, because it is going to be that type of engagement. So if you have any questions, feel free again to put it in the chat or raise your hand. So I'm going to start with Dr. Massot. What made you choose your career? And when did you know that was the career for you?
I chose medicine when I was in high school, basically. By the time I got to high school, I had some ideas of things like, when I was in sixth grade, I wanted to be an actress. At some point, I wanted to be a singer. When I got to high school, I started, looking at life in a different way and realizing I really had to choose a path, a career path, not something that, I may or may not work out in the end. So I didn't have any doctors in my family. My mother was a teacher. My grandmother was a teacher. My father worked in the mortgage business. But what I liked and what I enjoyed in school was really science and biology in particular. And so that kind of led me to thinking about, being a doctor as something where I could study the human body, as and take care of the human body as my career. And so I happened to be in a school where we had to do projects in junior and senior years in high school, where we had to go to a place of employment and work there and just shadow and follow the people around for a week. And so I went to a doctor, a plastic surgeon, who was a parent of someone at my school, and I followed him around for a week. And I went to his surgeries and I watched what he did, and I thought, this is very, very interesting. I think this is something that I would like to do. And so it was really then that I started looking at medicine as a career for myself and something that I thought that I wanted to do. So that's basically how I decided that I wanted to be a doctor.
Excellent. What about you, Danielle Williams? What made you choose your career? And I know you said you had a different career paths, so yours might be a little longer, but tell us a little bit about your journey.
So my mother is the first African-American judge elected in Queens. Her name is Patricia P. Satterfield. And so I always knew I was going to do law. I did not know how I was going to do it, right? So I go to University of Minnesota. I think I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm a lawyer in Minnesota and Iowa. And then I started teaching as an adjunct at U of M. And that the teaching bug got into me because, trust me, gentlemen, I never wanted to be a teacher or educator. Nothing. That was the last thing I wanted to do in my life. That is the truth. But one of the things I noticed when I was teaching at U of M, and then I went down to Virginia and started practicing there, was that the writing skills of my students were not at the level that I wanted them to be. And I thought that how could they communicate? They need to communicate better. So when I was in Virginia and I was teaching as an adjunct at Virginia State, I went to New York and applied to be a teaching fellow, and that's how I became an educator. I never thought I would be in this pathway this long, but now that I'm working, not only as I always wanted to be a principal though when I became an educator. I always wanted to start a school. That is something, Vanessa, that I wanted to do. When I was at Townsend Harris, I went to Townsend Harris High School. I wanted to start a school because I always wanted to implement my philosophy of my responsibility and philosophy of teaching all children. It doesn't matter if they have IEPs or in general ed or ENL. It did not matter to me. It was my responsibility as an educator to get them where they needed to go. And I've seen that success time and time again. So finally, in the pathway of being an assistant principal, I was assistant principal at Francis Lewis, the largest special ed department. I got this opportunity at Valley Stream to start a school from scratch. Started the school, opened the doors October 4th. We're still going. We've got our 20 students, but it is a thrill to do that because I get to create something new. And I also, in the midst of that, get to create my own school in the realm. I want to do it, giving them opportunities for my students to do resumes or transition planning, or just giving them an opportunity to do something differently and not making them feel bad because at some point in their life, they weren't successful. We're at the time now where I went to school at night when I was getting doctoral degrees and things of that sort. Why can't high school students get the same philosophy if they need to work during the day to do what they need to do to help their families? And this is the time we're coming through right now. So now that I am a principal, it's sometimes very scary, I must admit, but I do enjoy the pathway and I'm enjoying the learning process with my students and with my staff.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to take a break and I want to ask some of the Kappa Leaguers, I really, really need your participation. How many of you already know what you want to do for a living? And if you do, I want you to put it in the chat. You may not know, there's no pressure. If you have an idea, I remember when I was a kid, I wanted to be the smart woman who was on TV. I had no idea what she actually did. Maybe she was probably a secretary back then, but she was smart and she dressed nice and she was on TV. So that's what I wanted to be, the smart woman who dressed nice on TV. Oh, maybe I'm manifesting that. But let me hear what you all want to be. I see some stuff coming in the chat. NFL player, director, and animator, be a sports stat keeper for the NFL or NBA, a pilot, doctor, lawyer, swimmer, a police officer, actor. Excellent. Please keep them coming. And so my journey, after my undergraduate degree, I worked for a financial services company. So I worked for State Farm Insurance for 10 years, and I really wanted to be a State Farm agent. Again, I wanted to make money and dress nice. And so I worked my way up. I was born and raised in New York. I started a State Farm agency actually in Maryland. And when I got there, I had this call in my life to help educate people who didn't have access to the information about finances. So first I volunteered to teach financial literacy in the community. And I got my first contract, paid contract. First I volunteered with the National Urban League. Then I got my first paid contract with the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. And my first contract that actually traveled around mostly to the South to teach HBCU students about financial literacy, the importance of credit, home ownership. And one day I was moderating a panel at Howard University. It was on Howard University TV, I'll never forget. And someone on the panel asked me if I would come do work with their organization. The organization is called NeighborWorks America. It's a federally funded nonprofit. And then I found out I could actually make a career out of all this financial information that I had to travel around the country and some parts of the world to help communities who don't have the information that they need to achieve their own financial literacy. So I left State Farm, started my consulting company back then. I also do real estate investing. I'm a landlord. And I teach financial literacy, but I also do economic development in communities and helping them rebuild, et cetera. So I'll get more into that later, but this is a little bit about me. So I've been running my own company for the past, I would say 18 years total. And so please keep them coming. I see some more stuff, a baker, Matthew wants to study fossils. Alan says, I want to be the first technology CPU maker. Called Ryosu, which will be a company that makes new CPU computer chips that include operation system called GamePi Advanced, which could run RetroPie with an SD card. Excellent. So a diverse pool of careers. And some of you, we see that happening. And then you may, like some of us, change your career path along the way. But next I want to ask Mrs. Tinnermill about her career. What made you choose it? When did you know this is what you wanted to do?
Okay, thank you. This is so impressive what I'm hearing so far. Ladies, I'm so impressed myself. So when I went into Cornell, I went in as a biology major, having been the valedictorian of my school. Science and math was what I gravitated towards. So I thought I was going to become a pediatrician because I always wanted to help children. However, when I got into college, I decided that, maybe the best path for me was not to be a doctor, but to become a lawyer. So, and the reason why I decided that was because I wanted to help people, specifically children, because I felt that they were voiceless. Like nobody really heard the children and what they wanted. And I knew that being a lawyer and being part of the judicial system would be a way to impact the trajectory of a child's life. You can change a person's life by what you pour into them, which is why we have we have educators here, we have a doctor here. What you do with a child can really uplift them and change their lives. So when I came out of college, I went to work in the school system. I was teaching career alternatives, and I also volunteered with Big Brother, Big Sister. I did a lot of community-based work. And then eventually I decided that I was going to try the entertainment world. So I worked with a major radio station for a while. And then that bug to just become a lawyer kept on, it just kept on pushing me. This is the time. So I went to law school, and that was it. I also, like many of you, changed careers. So having a career in mind is a wonderful thing, but the college experience does open up your mind and gives you opportunities to try other things. And so I am doing exactly what I wanted, just in a different way.
Excellent. And so I introduced the schools that you all went to and your degrees, but I want you all to connect your degree with the career that you have for the students. And so I'll start with you, Danielle, Mrs. Williams. How did your education prepare you for what you've done? So some people know it's really simple. If I go get a law degree, I'm gonna be a lawyer, but if you can connect some of your education to what you do.
Sure. So I think that the best thing about being a graduate of law school is the skill set that I learned, how I've become, as my son would say, super organized. I am also very meticulous in my work. And so I've used the skill set of being able to outline well, being able to write well, not only in the career in law, but also in education. As I wrote over 500 IEPs myself as a teacher and an educator, I've also had to analyze that information. And when I'm analyzing IEPs or student documents in the educational field, I am using the skills that I used in law school. So those skill sets in terms of writing, I was a double major at Hampton. I was a poli-sci and a business major, but I did a side of English, so really honing on those skills. And then as I moved into a law school and getting other certifications, that skill set continued me now. As a principal, I have a number of things to do. I write reports, I sign timesheets, I just finished some observations before I got on the call today, and I'm running this school at night. I'm having conferences, and it's always clear that I must be a clear and concise communicator so that I am understanding and that my students, staff, and parents are understanding exactly what we're doing here and what goals we're trying to set.
Excellent. I always tell young folks, it doesn't matter where you get your education necessarily or the type of degree, the skill set is what matters. And the more you learn, the more you earn. And so I don't care what you choose as a career. I see scientists on here, bakers, athletes, police actors. So when we hear of like an athlete, we always know that they have to work out in order to be at the top of their game. But if you choose to be a doctor, or a lawyer, or a pilot, or a baker, there are still skills that you have to continually hone in order to achieve those things and be the best in your field, or even be good in your field. And so we do have a dynamic panel of HBCU and Ivy League graduates. I do want to honor that. And even myself, after I went to State University of New York at Binghamton, which was considered the public Ivy, my family had no money to send me to college, and that was my choice, but it is considered like the public Ivy. And then I went to seminary, and I actually went to an Ivy League seminary, which is Union Theological Seminary, which added on my path of now looking at my financial literacy in terms of social justice and economic justice. So now how do I help society create equitable opportunities for people who have been disadvantaged, like women, Black people, people of color, et cetera. And so, Mrs. Tenemill, I want to, ask that question of you. How did your education prepare you for your career and tying your education to what you do?
I would definitely ditto what Ms. Williams just said. By going to law school, it does teach you about how to organize, and you have to know how to organize yourself in order to navigate different things that may happen in life as you are trying to become whatever you are striving to become. You have to be a really good listener. You have to learn to focus. When it's time to focus, you have to know when it is time to play video games and when it's time to study. So you have to learn to prioritize. What is the best thing for me at this time? As these young gentlemen are going to go on to college, they're not going to have their parents telling them it's time to study, or it's time to do your homework, or it's time to do this or that. They must learn those skills. And as parents are telling them how to do it now, it is good for them to try to understand and and try to put that into action. In addition, again, prioritizing things is a huge thing in as being a judge. I need to learn how to prioritize. I need to know when I'm going to spend time on what case takes more work for me to prepare for. Priority is key. You have to learn how to you have to enjoy reading. Because as Ms. Williams know, and of course as Dr. Marceau know, you have to read, you have to understand. If you don't understand something, you have to ask for help. Actually, I believe that asking for help is a sign of strength. It's not a sign of weakness, because the more information and knowledge you have, the quicker you can grow, as Ms. Lindley just said. You need to learn how to focus. Reading is really important, prioritizing. And the more you read, the more you'll be able to even skim through things to see what's more important, what you need to focus on. You'll be able to pull out important information. But again, that takes practice. Also with law school, you have to be patient. You have to be patient because you have to know that everything comes at a certain time. And, you just have to learn how to put all those skills into place. And being a judge, it really does help you you really have to know how to prioritize, organize, read, listen. Being a good listener is very, very important in my job. And of course, in Dr. Marceau's job, in as well as you, Ms. Lindley and Ms. Williams, you have to learn how to be a good listener, and then you have to respond to what you are hearing. And on top of that, you have to learn how to read body languages too, because as a judge, people don't always tell me what's going on in the courtroom. Sometimes I have to see how they respond to a question or how they respond to something that is being said. So being focused, being attentive, learning how to listen and learning how to focus is very important, I would say.
Excellent. And Dr. Marceau, if you can tie some of your education and how it prepared you for your career.
I would say something similar in that, I'm sorry, hold on one second.
And Kappa leaders, if you
I'm
have
sorry about that.
please feel free to type them in the chat while we're talking. All right, Dr. Marceau, back to you.
Yes, that is very important to learn how to learn. And I think that knowing how to learn is an actual skill that is necessary to get through school and to get through, your career. You have to know how to study. You have to never be satisfied with what you know, because things are always changing. When I went to medical school and college and medical school, there's a lot of facts that I had to learn about science, about things we know about science and bodies and anatomy and things like that. But some of those things aren't the same anymore. Things change as research is done. We learn more facts as every day about different diseases, about different new viruses that come along, like coronavirus. You have to always be learning. So you can never, sit back and say, okay, I know everything I need to know, and that's all I need to know. And I'm just going to go through my job every day with the knowledge that I have. Every day, you're going to be learning new things, and you're going to have to adapt and change based on this new information that you're getting. So you have to be comfortable with the fact that you're never going to know everything, and be comfortable with and know that you're always going to have to keep studying, keep learning with whatever field that you choose to follow and whatever path you choose.
Thank you for that, Dr. Marceau. And I think that was one of the things about adulthood. Like, I still got to go to school. I thought I was finished. It does. You have to be a lifelong learner in whatever area you decide to take your career in. And that's what leadership is about. And I want to expand this conversation of leadership beyond careers, because most people think of leadership as only like being in charge of others, but we know that leadership is much broader than that. And so I'm going to share a slide that our educator on task created. I think that most of us can speak from. And so let's hope I get it right. My producer's going to tell me if I don't have it right. Is it the right screen? Huh? Is it the right screen?
You want to go to the one that just says the leadership qualities, which is
I want
number
to
2?
I want to talk about, what is leadership? And
Sure.
so looking at these, how do we expand? Not what qualities make a great leader, but on this first slide, we see these other organizations. And just, if you can just, in a minute or so, tell us about some of the leadership experiences you had in these organizations. There's a lot here, but tell us about a couple.
So this is how I introduce myself. I just make a slide and I put logos of all the organizations that I'm involved in. That's how easy it is for me. So I always use a quote by Madam C.J. Walker: don't sit down and wait for opportunities to come. Get up and make them. Whatever good or opportunities you have, you can do that. So what I use is my symbolism. I'm the CEO of Stigma Consulting Group, and that's my logo right there. Director of Alternative Programs, as you see with Valley Stream Central. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, lead on the Social Action Committee, other committees as well. I am also a leader in Jack and Jill, Vanessa knows, as we were in Queens chapter together, but I also do a number of things on the national front. I'm the We Are One representative. I'm the chapter program director. I do a regional bylaws committee. I also, the JB is because my youngest son is at Jamaica Bulldogs, and I am one of the parent coordinators that creates their newsletter. I'm a part of National Association of University Women, and I actually joined something with my mother down in a very small town in Saluda, which is the Middle Peninsula African American ground of historical society. It is a society that talks about the roots from slaves in the Middle Peninsula and how they have grown in their leadership opportunity. And my mother taught me about that because she's on that committee. And I said, oh, I can join, I can do it virtually. So that's really cool. And I'm also on the Alumni Association for Hampton University. And a way I lead is by what I do in the organizations. It looks like a lot, like I use my skills in organizations to keep up. But one of the things I love to do is lead and serve in the communities that I'm involved in, even communities that I'm not involved in, to understand and be a better person.
Wow, amazing. All of these things she does outside of her.
Vanessa is my witness. Vanessa's my witness.
And outside of raising children as well, and being a wife. I'm in Jack and Jill of America with her also. I volunteer a lot there. I'm the financial secretary of my chapter here in Manhattan. Also very active in anything that I get involved in, and very active in my children's school. Because again, the learning happens as we engage with people. So the Kappa Leaguers here, I'm not sure if all of you are excited about being Kappa Leaguers. I hope that you are. I know some of you are here because your parents made you, but I promise you this experience is going to be invaluable for you because this is where it starts. And as you grow in your career, with whatever choice you make, the lessons and experiences you're having here is going to be with you forever. And so what you're doing here at Kappa Leaguers is actually this portfolio that Danielle is explaining. This is just one part of it. And so I know that Mrs. Tinamil is also a part of Delta Sigma Theta. I don't know if you want to share some of your leadership beyond the work that you do.
Yes. Okay. So thank you very much. And my soror, I'm also a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. You're still sharing the screen, Ms. Lindley. Can everybody hear me? Yes, okay. So, Ms. Williams, we are sorors. We are also members of Jack and Jill. I'm part of the We Are One campaign. Equalizing everything for all children. As a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, I am a past parliamentarian. I'm very involved, chair of policies and procedures. I am also a member of the New York State Council on Divorce Mediation. I am a board of directors member of the Rockland County Women's Bar Association. I am an advisory board member of the Franklin H. Williams Judicial Commission, which is part of the Office of Court Administration. And I do a myriad of other things. In addition to that, every Saturday morning, I volunteer to feed my friends, which are people who are less fortunate than the rest of us and who need at least one meal. So I volunteer every Saturday morning to do that. And I do a lot of other things. I'm involved in a lot of organizations, again, the National Bar Association, the Metropolitan Bar Association, the National Historical Society. I'm just very active because I believe in giving back. And I think that that's one thing that is across the board for all of us as women, entrepreneurs and leaders. We all give back. We find time and make time because we know that in order for this world and for us to thrive, we must bring each other along and we must care for one another. And that's part of being a good leader as well. You have to care. You have to have empathy. You have to know that there are others out there who need you to be supportive of them. You cannot be selfish. A good leader is not selfish. You have to think about what is it that you can give, how to give back. And then, again, when you're moving forward, you have one hand going forward, and then you have one hand pulling back. So as you're moving up yourself, you're pulling your brother and your sister with you. So it is just really important to be involved. And one way of being involved is being active in your community. And I'm so happy that the New Rochelle White Plains Kappas have the Kappa League, because that is an organization that is truly teaching young men how to become leaders and how to give back. So that's what I think that we all need to do. And that's how, again, I'm very involved in a lot of different activities.
All right, thank you. And Dr. Massot, you want to share any of your experiences in leadership outside of your career?
Most of the activities I'm involved in do have to do with medicine, with the National Medical Association, the American Medical Association, the Manhattan Central Medical Society, the Radiographic Society of North America. So a lot of the things I do have to do with medicine and my specialty of radiology. I do, as a radiologist and at an academic institution, I do a lot of teaching. So, we do train residents and we train medical students. So a lot of what I do is around medicine and kind of my profession.
Which is awesome. Like you said, that connect. If that's a theme that we hear from everyone, is that they do the work and then they teach others. That's in the field that they're in, and maybe some other volunteer activities as well throughout their trajectory of their career. So so that is something that we want to consider. Any questions from the Kappa Leaguers from any of the panels that anything that the panelists have said so far? And I know that Marco's telling me I have to give a shout out to the Debate League. He's my co-producer over here. So I know a lot of the Kappa Leaguers here are also involved in the Debate League, the American Debate League, which is also a way to help build your leadership skills in the way that you communicate. Regardless of the career that you choose. And as you hear from, Mrs. Williams, she shares how a law degree prepared her for her job now as a principal, et cetera, et cetera. And Dr. Massot using her medical skill to teach others and raise other doctors up that are in her hospital, and also Mrs. Tinamel in her volunteer efforts. And so I want to hear what tips would you give these young men about leadership, starting where they are now and possibly navigating their career choice? And so they have some of their career choices in the chat. You could be specific or you could be in general. What are some tips you might give the young men about leadership? Again, starting where they are and how they might navigate, their career. And I'll start with Dr. Massot.
So that's a very good question. Some of the skills and sort of the qualities I think that people really need to become leaders in whatever field they choose to be involved in. And this is more a quality of self-confidence, which is something that I think that you learn along the way. You don't necessarily have it from the beginning, but it's something that you need in order to become a leader. You have to develop the knowledge and the belief that you can accomplish anything that you want to accomplish. So I think that's something that really needs to be emphasized to our young men, especially. Don't let people tell you that what you can do. And you inside of you what you can do and what you can accomplish. Another thing that I think is very important is communication skills, the ability to speak to people, to get your ideas across to pretty much anybody who comes your way. You should be able to talk to them and get your ideas out, to listen to them, and to have a dialogue with people. So that's another skill that I think is something that's also learned through experience. And that can be, enhanced and cultivated through Kappa League, through all of the events that you do, through just, having your Zoom meetings and being able to speak to one another, in a very sort of professional type of way, and being careful how you speak to people. Being kind is another one. You always have to be kind to anyone who comes across your path, just because you never know who that person is, what they could do for you, and who they are, really. So it's very important to be kind and respectful to people. You never know, who they are and how they can help you in the future. And if they remember you as somebody who was very nice and respectful to them, and they meet you again along the way where they can do something to help you, they're gonna want to help you. You need to have integrity. You need to be able to be honest, be truthful. You need to be able to admit when you make a mistake and learn from it. These are very important. Don't ever try to cover up something wrong that you think you may have done. Admit when you're wrong, and try to fix it or to learn from any sort of mistake that you ever make. And then self-control is another one. Being able to stay calm in any situation. Being able to not get too upset, to be able to try to control your emotions and remain calm. And the last one I think is very, very important is to be a problem solver. If we can all come up with all kinds of problems. There's all kinds of problems in the world. There's problems in our household. Let's just not be the one who brings up the problems. You got to come with a solution. You got to start thinking about how to fix things, how to solve even little things that come up to you in your lives. If you have something, that happens, think about it yourself, about how you can handle it, about how you can fix it, even before you go to your parents. Come with an idea. But I think that's another leadership skill that's very, very important.
Oh my goodness, Dr. Maso, you dropped a bunch of gems. Oh, so many gems. I say, one of the things you said about being kind. I mean, I didn't know Dr. Maso when I met her was a doctor. I didn't know she went to Harvard. She was a mom in the school that my daughters go to. So I'm going to be kind to her. I didn't know that Mrs. Tinamil was a judge. Her husband and my husband joined Kappa League together. Mrs. Williams, I didn't know that she was a lawyer and an educator. We were in the same organization together. And I tell you, the relationships that I made with them, I asked them to do this panel in their very busy lives. They all said yes. And I thank them, and I want to thank them publicly, because it's the relationships that we build with each other and the kindness that we show each other, because you never know who you're engaging with. So those are all wonderful tips. And the other one I want to pull out from Dr. Maso was being the problem solver. Mm-hmm. That is such a good leadership quality, regardless of where you work. Say someone said they want to be a baker. You might bake for a company. You might start your own baking business. It doesn't matter. Say you start your career baking for a company. If you go to you have a boss, meaning someone leads you. Whenever you go with this challenge and you also have some ideas on how to solve it, you are leading, even if you're from behind, in essence. So these were awesome leadership qualities that you will need for the rest of your life, regardless of what career you choose. So thank you so much, Dr. Maso, from that. So my producer's telling me, don't forget about Cake Man Raven, who is actually a Kappa, right? And so he owns, very popular cake business. Actually, we use his cake for our wedding. Also thinking about that Baked by Melissa. So, I think it's a woman-owned business of cupcakes, is baking cupcakes. So thank you for those awesome tips. And I saw some come in from Silhouette Florence. 2 important personal communication skills is the eye contact and the firm handshake. Yes. Those are awesome skills as well. And I know when the Kappa League is in person, you all practice that a lot more than you have been virtually. But you all, again, the debate league is going to help you with some of these, but these are just gems. And so I'm going to ask Mrs. Tenenbaum, what tips would you give these young men? If you want to add anything that Dr. Marcel gave, she gave a whole lot
He
of
did
nuggets.
it all. He did such a phenomenal job. That was beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Marceau. I would say that in my job, the most important thing I can give to a litigant or to a person that comes into my courtroom is my attention. So I pay close attention to know what is being said, again, as well as what is not being said. And I ask a lot of questions. Something that was said by the great and phenomenal Maya Angelou is, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So what I can add is give people respect and give them your attention. It may change their view of you and their view of the situation, as Dr. Marceau talked about. Never give up, because the minute that you give up trying is the minute that you've missed an opportunity to succeed. So never give up. And finally, my advice to these young men is to remember that everything that you do is a self-portrait of who you are. Do everything in excellence and with a heart of service. Autograph your life with excellence. So that would be my advice.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. We're dropping some gems in here. Thank you so much. Mrs. Williams, what tips would you give these young men?
So as you're going through your leadership journey, I want to say this to you. And I want you to accept this now because it's easier to accept. You will fail at something as a leader, guaranteed. I tell my students all the time, you see this long resume? In between those lines is every failure that I have. But the difference between me and someone else is that I had the drive and perseverance to go through. Mm-hmm. Yes, I passed the bar, but it took me 2 times to do it. Yes, I got into college, but I didn't get to everyone I wanted to. And I went to another one, and then I did this. And I navigated through and continued to navigate through. So one of the things I would tell you, young man, is perseverance is key. There is no one that can control your greatness. You are already great. It's you that brings it out of you and who you're going to give it to. I also want to tell you that be passionate in everything you do. Why not? You only got one life, so live it well. Be passionate, enjoy what you're doing. And if you don't like what you're doing, change. This is like career number 3 for me. I take heed from my mother, who has had 3 or 4. My mother, yes, she was a judge, but she started at Howard University as an opera singer. And then she was a teacher. And then she was a librarian. And then she went to law school in 1977 with me on her arm as a 5-year-old running amok. She made choices in her life because she wanted to do more things. So experiment. Don't be afraid of trying something new and failing at it and growing forth. I always want to tell people that the one thing that I think great leaders do is that they are supportive. There is a difference between listening and hearing. I think we hear a lot on the videos and TikTok and all that other great stuff, but we do not listen truly to each other. I challenge you, when you've had a great conversation with someone where you just listened to them and listen to their story and listen to what was happening, because that's building your leadership qualities. Because when you're listening to your staff or people that are under you, your colleagues, people even above you, it creates a better person in you. And last thing I would say, be collaborative. Don't be afraid to collaborate, even with people that you may say are difficult, who may not work with you well, right? Mm-hmm. We all have to learn to work with each other in a way that helps us to lead and grow. Mm-hmm. So those are the things and tips I would say. You all are great and you guys are here. Thank you, Al, for the nod, because that means I did well and I'm not embarrassing my son. So that means I did a good job today. So I want to thank you all for letting me be here. And really, it was a pleasure to be on the panel with Dr. Marceau and Sora Tenenbaum. I'm really excited just to be here. Of course, Vanessa, I'll do anything for you at any time, any day. That's my job. Either Marcos is going to say something or Vanessa's going to say something.
I love you all so much. And I think Danielle prepared this wonderful slide. And one of the things she did not say that she shared with me is the empathy, being empathetic. So, I mean, I don't know that I can add anything to what these dynamic women have already told you. I'll add that one little key about empathy to add to it, because everybody's really good at things and everyone's struggling with something. And so in your relationships, be empathetic to someone else's struggle. And so I think Mrs. Tenemill, she used a demonstration of, pulling and moving ahead and pulling someone with you. Dr. Massot shared all of her gems about, being supportive, listening. Mrs. Williams, I mean, these are going to be key. If you hear anything else about leadership, if you've heard nothing else about leadership, it is about relationships and your internal makeup. So keep practicing. You're young. The self-confidence is going to come with that education and practice. Failing. I mean, Mrs. Williams gave you permission here tonight to fail if you've never heard it before, which I'm sure you have. But in case you haven't, it's okay to fail because you learn from the failures and you just keep taking risks, keep learning and growing. As Mrs. Williams said, I went to seminary in my old age with 3 kids because I felt that was what God called me to do at this stage of my life. To continue to make an impact on the world. So we are always learning, if you heard nothing else from this panel as well. And so we did have a question.
Bryce looks like he has a question.
Yes. So we did have a question come up from Bryce, and then I'll open up for any other questions. Bryce, are you still around? You want to ask your question?
Yes, I do have a question.
Yes, let's hear it.
My question is, how did you remain confident?
I'm going to let someone else answer that question. How do you remain confident?
I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer, Bryce. I can tell you that sometimes I'm not as confident in certain situations as others. There's some situations that bring out my insecurities. And I have to really pull within. And so remaining confident is your belief in yourself, whatever it takes for you to be confident in that moment. Some people clench their hands like I do when I do presentations, and you just didn't see that, but I do that all the time. Or other times that they're, give themselves a model or a mantra that brings them through. Remaining confident is just saying, you know what, today I'm going to do it again. Today I'm going to continue to do it, and you just move forward. I forgot to tell you guys I have a baking business. I do too much because Mother Vanessa knows that I make cakes and things of that sort, but I do things that feed my creative soul, to be honest with you. I love to be creative and what I can do to do that. So that's what I would say, Bryce. Just keep believing in yourself, hon, and you're doing a great job because you're here.
Yes. If I may also say, one thing that I said earlier is never give up. Because the minute that you give up trying is the minute you miss an opportunity to succeed. So one thing I think about a lot when I'm in a situation that's a bit tense or a bit uncomfortable, I think about myself as a Black woman trying to succeed. I think of myself as a Haitian woman that came to this country as an immigrant and knowing that I can do it. I can do it because I've seen others ahead of me doing it. So I know that I can as well. So that's one of the things I focus on whenever I want to shy away from doing something. I say, why not you? Why not you? You are a strong Black woman. Why not you? Yes, I speak with an accent. I speak too fast. But one thing I am is a strong Black woman. I have leaders that paved the way for me. And I focus on that so that I can also succeed rather than fail. If I stop trying, I'll never succeed. So how did I become a judge? I didn't wake up one day and became a judge. Like Ms. Williams said and Dr. Marceau said, it was work, try, never give up. There was failures along the way, as Ms. Williams, Marceau Williams said. But you have to push through that. You have to have the desire in you to not fail. You have to want it more than somebody else wants it for yourself. And you have to keep that always in your mind that you're going to push through no matter what. especially when somebody says that you can't do it. How many people told Barack Obama that he could not become president? How many people told Kamala Harris that she could not become vice president as a person of color? But you can't listen to what everybody's saying that's in the negative. You have to have it within you to know that you can do it. That would be my response.
Thank you. Dr. Masso, you want to add anything?
I don't think there's much to add to that, but I think she said it all. I would just say, if you're always trying your best, then that's all you can do. And so you have to just try your best, whatever you're doing, just keep trying and do your best and you're going to make it. And just believe that if you try, you will. So that's what I would say, is just try your best at everything that you do. And that's how you develop self-confidence.
Thank you. And I'll just add, because again, this panel is so dynamic, the preparation and the practice. I'm going to keep saying that, practice and preparation, whether it's for a test in school, a speaking engagement, a certification, it's the preparation. And Kappa League is providing this preparation for you all for your future. So take advantage of every opportunity that they give you. Do your best, as they said, fail and get up and do it again. Find your thing that calms you, because fear is going to be a part of your life forever, but you overcome it every time you take another step and another challenge. So I just want to thank you all for having us today. I want to thank Brother Phil, President Monica of the Silhouette. She came in, so I want to acknowledge her. She's actually going to be hosting the next Women's History panel on March 19th. Thank you so much for taking that on. She's going to have a TV news anchor, another doctor on her health. So you'll hear more tips from other dynamic Black women that are in your community that are there for you, along with the brothers that are from the NWRP Kappa League and Kappa Alpha Psi. So again, I just want to thank my panelists, Judge Tenemill, Mrs. Williams, Dr. Masso. It was just an honor and a privilege to be here with you tonight on Women's History, during Women's History Month. And we're going to merge Black history and women's history tonight. And we're bringing all the, Black girl magic to you tonight to know that this is possible. And when you get out in the world and you engage with Black women in the workplace, know that we are here for you, just like we're here for you tonight. So thank you again. And I'm going to turn it back over to the brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi.
Thank you, Silhouette Lindley. And your dynamic, impressive panel. I got to tell you, what a way to kick off Women's History Month. I mean, I'm very, very impressed. And I got to tell you, yes, I have a slew of questions, but I said I won't do it to you ladies. And I did take a lot of notes, so I got all the tips that I'm going to share with them and follow up. Plus, it's on video, so we can share that with them as well. But it is a night for you young ladies to share. I want to give an opportunity, because I know the president of the Silhouettes is on the call. So I just want to give her a moment to share some words, and then maybe she wants to recognize the rest of the Silhouettes on the call, and then we can close out. So I'm going to do a handoff to Silhouette Monica. Are you there?
I am. Thank
Go
you.
ahead. I will let you share
Thank
some
you
words.
so much. And thank you, Silhouette Lindley, for putting together such a dynamic panel this evening for our Kappa Leaguers. I just want to shout out a couple of our Kappa Leaguers. I think there is Nathan David. If you're there, just wave your hand, Nathan. Nathan, are you on? Or Nat David? Nat Davis? And let me see, Elijah Collins and John McIver, and I think Jalen Harrigan. If I just called your name, just give me a wave. You four have been on camera the entire time, right? And so when we're talking about leadership, that's about you giving your dedicated time, right? And so we've been talking about that for the whole time, and I've been watching you all. And yeah, you might have a little distraction, right? But you stayed on camera the whole time. So that just told me how much of the respect that you have for the information that you were receiving this evening. And then I also want to recognize my silhouettes, our historian and holding it all together, our Florence Rice. She has been passionate about this work for such a long time, and she handed over her leadership role over to us. And I just want to let you know we adore you, Florence Rice, for handing over your leadership to good and quality women. And it's so important when you hand over your legacy to anyone is who you leave it to. Right. And so who we have here with me this evening, I have Silhouette Vanessa Lindley. I have Judge Patricia Burmese Temamil, and I also have my right hand, my finance partner, Marilyn Schuler, the wife of your Guide Right director. So I just want to shout out all of these. And then, of course, I have my partner here, Irvin Crusoe, and I thought he was here. I did see him. He was on the
He's
camera.
here.
There he is. There he is. I do see him. And so I just want to let you know that you are going to be wowed on the 19th because we have such a dynamic duo that is coming to you. And I know it is past my bedtime. So I'm going to stop talking here and turn it back over to our Guide Right director. Thank you so much.
Thank you again, a silhouette, Monica. Thank you again, ladies. Again, very impressive. I'm not going to hold you up any longer, nor our Kappa Leaguers. We're looking forward to our next session. But before I do get off the call, I always give an opportunity to see if any of the brothers have anything they wish to share. I was looking for, I know our Vice President, Jared, is on the call. So first, let me see, brothers, do you have anything you'd like to share before I let my Vice President, Jared Charles, in the call? Brothers?
All is well. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
I'll say good evening, ladies. Thank you. You did a phenomenal job.
Phenomenal job.
It's always great to hear, the female perspective coming to, to these young gentlemen's ears. They may not always get an opportunity to listen to such powerful women in powerful places, present to them. So I really want to say I appreciate the time that you guys took out for this evening.
Okay.
I would echo that sentiment. I felt like I was at church actually. This was uplifting. Yeah. Thank you for investing so much of your time and investing so much of your time with our young men and for pouring into their lives as you did tonight. Truly appreciate the time.
Any other brothers? Did I miss? Oh, I see a hand raised there. Okay, Mr. Williams, I see you have your hand raised, and then we'll leave with Mr. Charles. Go ahead, Alan. You had a question?
I'd like to say thank you to the wonderful woman for being on the Zoom, including my mom. Thank you for everything that you do, and always we love you. Thank you. And I also felt like I felt like it was like you were honoring something, but it was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Jared, you want to take us out? Final thoughts.
Yeah. I'd like to thank everyone for coming, and I guess see you next meeting.
All right.
Short and quick and right to the point. Thank you, Jared. All right, gentlemen, I know it's a school night, so I'm not going to hold you up any longer. So you guys have a great evening. We look forward to seeing you on our next session. I'm excited for it. All right. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Before you go, everyone.